talk about driving under the influence and the consequences of getting caught. So just to start off by saying, all my life I've seen the causes and accidents of drunk driving. Starting when I was a kid, my dad being a tow truck driver, would take me along with him sometimes, and I would just see devastating car accidents, wrecked cars. I'll see some blood in the street, and when I go back to the tow yard, that was just the beginning, just to see that there's piles and piles of cars all crashed up. As I grew up, I'm sure some of you can relate. You're stuck in traffic, there's like car accidents, and then when you drive by, you finally see, you probably get all devastated because how horrific it is. And then it is unknown that it could be drunk driving, but just to look at it, you could possibly ask yourself like how this could have happened to a sober driver. And I too have family members that have been convicted of DUI, and I asked them every now and then what would they do different. They said they should have just stayed home, and I still see them to this day that they're paying for it. But over the years, drunk driving has been a steady cause of injuries and sometimes death. It's decreasing as we speak right now. Every now and then is when that happens, but for the most part, they're going away. It's well known as drinking and driving is the brightest idea because of all that can go wrong. If caught, it's something that will follow you for the rest of your life. I'm pretty sure some of you know that. That's why today I want to break down for you the consequences of getting caught. The consequences of getting caught include the death of someone and the hardship that it can make on your life. First, I'd like to talk about how drunk driving can potentially take away life. Although it is proven that drunk driving crashes have been decreasing, they still remain a good part of all driving crashes that go on in the U.S., which is now at 31%, nearly accounts for 1/3. According to the National Highway Traffic Association, in 2005, the number of fatalities was 13,582, and fatality rate was at 0.45 per 100 million VMT, or vehicle miles traveled. Since then, the number has decreased to 9,967, and the fatality rate being at 0.33 per 100 million VMT. In 2015, since there was 9,967 people dying from drunk driving crashes, that is one every 51 minutes, and 290,000 were injured in drunk driving crashes. Of this number, a total of 1,070 children were involved in the crashes. And those are from the ages of 14 and younger. And of these 1,070 fatalities, 209 children, or 19%, did in fact die from alcohol-impaired driving accidents. For the most part, it's not the drunk driver that loses their life, it is the person that was unfortunate enough to encounter them on a street, highway, or freeway. A study done in 2009 by Dr. Christian Delberger, who was part of the Los Angeles Biomedical Research Institute, found that intoxicated patients do in fact survive traumatic injury more than those who are sober. Ironically, when you're impaired and driving, the alcohol acts as like a buffer, so you do not feel pain. So it is less like traumatic for you. And I always say that to prevent this from happening, I would recommend using a driving service such as an Uber or something. So we continue to lower this fatality rate. And right here, just have a chart. It shows from 2005 being at 13,000 to 2014 or 2015, going down to 9,000, almost a little under 10. Shows how far we came. Next, I'd like to talk about how getting caught drinking and driving can make a hardship in your life. It can make a hardship in your life financially and with the time, but first start with the financial part. According to insurance agents, a DUI in California can cost you on average about $45,000. Now this is a sum of what they like to add up in total. They take into consideration the towing and storage of your car being at $685, DUI classes $650, fines and attorney fees $4,000, and just to get after all that, your license reinstated again, another $100. And then over the course of time, I'm pretty sure it's common that your insurance rate is going to skyrocket. So, and they say over the course of 30 years, you're looking about to pay $40,000 total. And that's just depending on which insurance company you plan to go with. And just after seeing these expenses, I'm pretty sure no one wants to pay. You just gotta ask yourself, is it really worth it? Another hardship that drinking and driving can make in your life is limited time. As I mentioned earlier, it is mandatory to take classes if you ever wish to drive legally again. Some are familiar with a class called AA, or Alcoholics Anonymous, and they work with an organization called the National Traffic Safety Institute. And then this is where a majority of the convicted DUI people are sent to. They're required to complete a 3-month program over a 15-week period to complete a total of 30.75 hours. And it's broken down into 3 main groups. There's education and group sessions. Those are 10 classes at about 3 hours each. Individual interviews held at being midpoint and end program. 3 meetings for 15 minutes each. And then they must attend 6 AA meetings. And this is how they break it up in weeks to do so. We have to give up your personal time for 15 weeks and any of these days right here. Short video.
There's no way to hide it. If you drive drunk, we will find you. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement and cracking down like never before.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? Sir, have you been drinking this evening? Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
Make no mistake, you will get caught and you will be arrested. Over the limit, under arrest.
I'm pretty sure that's a video that everyone's seen. It's kind of old, but to conclude, I would like to say that DUI conviction is not something that is wanted. If one chooses to drink in public, they should do it with responsibility. And not for the sake of getting caught and having these hardships in life, but for the sake of not ending someone's life, especially, like, it could be your own if the accident is that horrifying. And the consequences are not easy ones to face. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Dolly, share your thoughts with us, please.
Well, I thought it was good overall, but there were times where you were looking more at the paper than at the audience. I liked your use of the slideshow, like the things that you had in it, but I wish at times they were just a little bit bigger so they were clear to see. But like the breakdown that you had of it, of the cost and like of money and time was really good, and the graph that showed the deaths was also good. And then you also put in you threw in a alternative to driving drunk too, which was a good thing to add instead of just being not to do it. If you threw in the Uber thing, which was cool to add into it. But overall, I thought it was good. I appreciate applause.
You did a nice job. There you go. All right, well, the topic's very clearly identified. You have an excellent thesis statement, so that's solid. I didn't really think there was much of a preview of what the structure was going to be. I mean, I know what the subject's going to be, but I don't know how you're going to break it down. In the body of the speech, it sounds like you've got, 3 topical categories. You could cause death, there's financial costs, and there are time issues that you're dealing with. If that's the structure of the speech, then I guess I figured it out, but it wasn't easy doing that, and I think you could be a little bit clearer on that. I could tell that there were distinct topics. I just thought sometimes it would have been easier at the beginning of the speech to know where we were headed. And There were some interesting transitions. I thought the transition that you had between the deaths and the financial issues was clearly identified. Maybe not super smooth, but we knew that we were into a different area there, and I thought that that's okay. And part of that is the visual, but part of it you did a good job yourself kind of explaining that there are other ramifications, and I thought that that was a worthy effort on your part. The supporting material, there's a ton of statistical stuff in that first section, Gesundheit, and when you start just dumping numbers, they don't always mean much. And even when you've got the visuals that go along with those things, I was frequently going, okay, well, wait a second. I'm looking ahead of time. There's your second Gesundheit and your last one. All right. Well, the rule is, you get 2, and then after that, you have to get well on your own. It can't be my responsibility anymore. I thought that you did a little bit better, though, at the end, because you basically come down to some basic numbers. Here's how many people that is a day. Here's how many people that is an hour. Here's how many kids that we're talking about that die. And obviously, they weren't the ones who were driving drunk. That kind of thing. And I thought that helped make those statistics a little bit more useful. One of the things we're going to talk about when we do the persuasive material is how the order in which information is presented can sometimes alter the way people perceive things. I think if you started with that other information and then followed up with the statistics instead of going the direction that you did, it would probably be more effective because people would understand what it is you're talking about first, and then you add the numbers on top of it, then they see how big it is, as opposed to, here's this big picture and now look at this little thing, and it's a little bit jarring to kind of go from one direction to the other. I think it's easier to go in the opposite direction. I like the visuals for the most part. I did think the one thing about, all the, I don't want to call it training, but the classes that you have to do was maybe a little bit small, and you're using the laser pointer to try and emphasize things. That's probably because those things are a little bit small. But I did like the cost breakdown. That was explained pretty well. And let's see, delivery issues, just a couple of things. You're standing behind the demo station almost all the speech, and you don't need to hide. We're not going to hurt you. Well, I'm not. He might, but I don't know. The rest of us are, so you need to step forward, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about on this next round is when you're engaging with an audience, you engage in a lot of different ways. It's not just that we hear your voice and we know that you're talking to us. You have to engage in a lot of subtle ways that are often nonverbal in nature, and kind of hiding behind the podium is an example of disengagement. You don't want to do that. You want to be, that doesn't mean that you have to be walking into our faces, but I do think you need to feel a little bit more like I'm connecting with people, and you're, I don't want to say standoffish, but it's sort of like, well, this is the speech and it's happening over here and I'm not much of a part of it. And you need to be a part of it because that's the thing that moves people. That's the thing that people care about in the end. Okay. Thank you.